Disney. Mickey and Friends. My first bedtime storybook. Mickey and the Beanstalk. Long ago, there was a place called Happy Valley. Overlooking the valley was a castle. In the castle was a golden harp with the face of an angel, whose music cast a cheerful spell over the valley. One day, a shadow darkened the valley, and the harp disappeared. The people there grew sad and hungry, including Farmer Mickey, Farmer Donald, and Farmer Goofy. When they had nothing left to eat, they decided to trade their cow for food. On his way to the market, Mickey met an old man who said, "I'll buy the cow for these magic beans. If you plant them, they will grow up to the sky." Mickey agreed. But when he got home, Donald was so mad he threw the beans out the window. They went to sleep hungry that night. But as they slept, the beans sprouted a stalk that grew and grew, carrying the farmer's house with it. When the farmers woke up, they were in a strange land above the clouds. They ran to a giant castle and found huge bowls of food the farmers dug in. Suddenly, they heard a voice coming from a trunk. It was the golden harp. "A wicked giant brought me here," she cried. Just then, a loud voice said, "Fee, fi, fo, fum." It was the giant. Mickey, Donald, and Goofy hid behind a sugar bowl. But the giant spotted them and put them into the trunk. Fortunately, Mickey slipped out before the giant locked it and put the key in his pocket. As soon as the giant fell asleep, Mickey slipped into the giant's pocket and got the key. Then he let his friends out and they grabbed the harp. "Let's go!" cried Mickey. The giant woke up. "Come back!" the giant roared, running after them. But the farmers didn't stop. When they reached the ground, they began to soar through the giant beanstalk. Finally, it fell to the ground with a loud thud. The giant was never to be seen again. The farmers returned the golden harp to the castle. Mickey, Donald, and Goofy were heroes, and Happy Valley was a cheerful place once again. The Sorcerer's Apprentice. Long ago, there lived a sorcerer with a hat that gave him amazing powers. If he thought magic thoughts, they would come true. And with his secret words, the magic would end. Poof! The sorcerer had an apprentice who helped around the castle. It was hard work. One day, the sorcerer had to go out. He left his hat behind. This was the apprentice's chance. "I can be a great sorcerer," he said, putting the hat on his head. The apprentice spotted a broom. He pointed at it and thought magic thoughts. All at once, the broom began to move. "Follow me," he ordered. The broom picked up 2 buckets. The broom filled the buckets and then marched back down the steps to pour them into the well. The apprentice sat while the broom marched up and down the steps. Soon, he fell asleep. The apprentice had an amazing dream. He was the most powerful sorcerer in the world. With a wave of his hand, mighty waves crashed all around him, higher and higher, until suddenly the apprentice woke up to find himself surrounded by water. While he was sleeping, the broom had been filling the well with water until it overflowed. "Stop, broom, stop!" he cried. But the broom didn't stop. The apprentice didn't know what to do. When he saw an axe, he grabbed it and chopped the broom into hundreds of pieces. But every little piece of splintered wood became a new broom. Each broom had 2 buckets. Like a great army, the brooms kept marching and pouring more and more water into the overflowing well. The apprentice was swept into the water. When he saw the sorcerer's book of spells, he searched for the special magic words, but the water became a swirling whirlpool carrying him round and round. And then, at the base of the steps, the sorcerer appeared. He knew at once what his apprentice had done. He raised his arms and ordered the water to disappear. The apprentice smiled sheepishly, handed the sorcerer his hat, and then scurried off to do his work. He had learned a valuable lesson. Never start something you don't know how to finish. The Prince and the Pauper. There once was a kind king who ruled his kingdom with fairness. His son, the prince, loved the kingdom as well, but he found royal life boring and longed for more adventure. One day, the king grew sick and things changed. The greedy captain of the king's guards saw this as his chance to get rich. He began stealing from the people. One morning, a peasant named Mickey watched the guards drive by. His dog chased their coach right through the palace gates. The captain captured Mickey and was about to lock him up when the prince spotted them. He ordered the captain to send the captive inside. Inside the palace, Mickey got lost. He bumped into a suit of armor and the helmet landed on his head. Just then the prince entered the hall and a helmet fell on his head. The prince and the pauper crashed into each other. They lifted their helmets. "You look like me," they shouted at the same time. The prince had an idea. He asked the pauper to trade places with him so he could leave and nobody would know. Of course, Mickey said yes. So they swapped clothes and the prince left the palace. The prince enjoyed his day as a pauper. In the market, he saw one of the captain's guards stealing food from the poor. "Stop! I am the prince," he cried, showing the guard his royal ring. Then he gave the food back to the peasants. When the captain heard the prince and the pauper had traded places, he came up with an evil plan. He would get rid of the real prince and make the pretend prince do whatever he wanted. While the prince visited a friend, he heard the church bells. The king had died. "I must take over as king," he said. But the captain and his guards were waiting. They threw the prince in the dungeon. Fortunately, the prince's friend slipped by the guards and freed him. Meanwhile, the pauper had figured out the captain's plan and was trying not to be crowned king. "I'm the prince, so what I say must be done," Mickey said, ordering the guards to seize the captain. "He's an imposter! Seize him!" the captain shouted. "I'm not an imposter, though," came a voice from above. It was the real prince. Everyone gasped as he swung to the ground on a chandelier. The evil captain was arrested, and the true prince was crowned king. The kingdom was once again in kind, caring hands. With Mickey by his side, the new king ruled, and everyone lived happily ever after.
Mickey meets Pluto. Mr. Palmer, the owner of the local pet shop, was going on an overnight trip, so he asked his friend Mickey to watch the shop while he was gone. Mickey was happy to help. Mickey said hello to the animals in the shop. They all seemed happy except one, a cute little puppy who was whining and whimpering. "Poor little fella," Mickey said. "What you need is a little attention." Mickey picked him up, but he wriggled out of Mickey's arms. He ran through the shop and knocked over a fishbowl, sending the fish flying across the room. "Gotcha!" Mickey called as he caught the fish and placed him in a new bowl. Just then, a customer came in. "Can I help you?" Mickey asked, just as the puppy opened a cage of mice. "Eek!" the customer shrieked, running out the door. Mickey gathered up all the pets and put them back where they belonged. That night, Mickey stayed above the pet shop, but as he tried to sleep, the puppy howled at the top of his lungs. That pup kept howling until he got what he wanted, a cozy spot right beside Mickey. When Mickey woke up, the puppy was gone. Mickey went down to the shop and couldn't believe his eyes. The place was a mess, but the puppy was nowhere to be found. Mickey searched high and low for his little friend. He checked the storage room and found the pup inside a big bag of dog food. Mickey was about to put him back in the kennel, but the pup looked at Mickey with the saddest little face. Then he helped Mickey sweep the floor and put the books away. "You may be a handful," said Mickey, "but I sure love having you around." They finished cleaning up the shop just as Mr. Palmer came back. "Thanks for helping," he said, handing Mickey his paycheck. "I hope nobody gave you any trouble." Mickey just smiled. As Mickey turned to go, the puppy began to howl. "I'm gonna miss you too," Mickey said sadly. Suddenly, he had a great idea. He'd take the puppy home instead of his paycheck. "But what should I call you?" Mickey asked the puppy. Just then, he saw a newspaper headline, "New Pictures of Planet Pluto." "I'll call you Pluto," exclaimed Mickey. And from then on, Mickey and his pup, Pluto, were best friends. Pied Piper Mickey. Long ago, there was a cozy little town called Hamlin. But Hamlin had one problem: bugs. There were so many bugs in Hamlin they took over the town. So the mayor called a town meeting. Suddenly, a stranger arrived carrying a pipe. "I'm Pied Piper Mickey, and I can charm any creature with my magical music," he cried merrily. "I'll get rid of your bugs for 1,000 coins, the Pied Piper told the mayor. "Very well," grumbled the mayor. It was a deal. Pied Piper Mickey went to the town square and began to play. The music was loud and screechy, but the bugs loved it. They came from everywhere and gathered around the Pied Piper. Then he led a parade of bugs down the street and over the bridge. He led them to the river and jumped in. The bugs happily followed, floating right out of town. Hooray! The people of Hamlin cheered. But when the Pied Piper asked to be paid, the greedy mayor frowned. "Here's 50 coins," he said. So the Pied Piper began playing again. Soon, the bugs started to come back. The mayor offered the Pied Piper 300 coins, but he just shook his head and kept playing. And more bugs came buzzing back. Before long, every bug in the entire country had come to Hamlin to hear Pied Piper Mickey play. "Stop!" the mayor shouted, shoving handfuls of gold coins at the Pied Piper. "Please, no more bugs." The Pied Piper agreed. "And for another 1,000 coins, I'll take the bugs away again." And with that, the Pied Piper left town, followed by every last bug. That was the last time the people of Hamlin saw Pied Piper Mickey, or any bugs, again. A gift to remember. It was a snowy morning as Mickey and Pluto strolled through town. Mickey's coat was old and his pockets were empty, but he was happy. As they passed a shop window, Mickey stopped to admire a beautiful golden chain on display. "That would go well with Minnie's watch," Mickey said. "We'll come back for it later." Mickey and Pluto stopped by Minnie's house to say hello. Minnie opened the door to find Mickey playing his harmonica. "Oh, Mickey," she said, "when you play, it makes my heart sing." As he wrapped his harmonica in an old rag, Minnie said, "Your harmonica deserves a special case." She pulled her lovely old watch out of her pocket to check the time. "That sure would look pretty on a gold chain," Mickey said. Mickey headed to the park to play his harmonica. The local firefighters were putting on a concert and they needed a harmonica player, so Mickey happily agreed to play. At the concert, Mickey's music delighted everyone. "You and that harmonica make a great team," the fire chief told Mickey. "My harmonica is worth more than gold to me," Mickey said. Suddenly, he had an idea. "Come on, Pluto, let's get to the shop before it closes." Mickey and Pluto flew through the streets and got to the shop just as the shopkeeper was leaving. "Sorry, but we're closed," the shopkeeper said. Mickey sat on the curb and played his harmonica sadly. The shopkeeper felt bad, so he changed his mind. He unlocked the door and let Mickey trade his harmonica for the gold chain in the window. Later that night, Mickey and Minnie sat down. They had special gifts for each other. Mickey handed Minnie a box wrapped with a pretty ribbon. "I hope you like it," he told her. "A chain for my watch," she exclaimed. "It's beautiful. But I traded in my watch to buy your gift." Mickey unwrapped his gift. "A case for my harmonica," he said. "But I traded my harmonica to get the chain for your watch." "Oh, Mickey, I can't believe you gave up what means the most to you," Minnie exclaimed. Mickey smiled. "You're the one that means the most to me, Minnie."